All right, here we go. I think we're on now. The volume was not working. Remember to look at the spirit of things. You may say, "Oh, I have a technical glitch," but evil spirits and evil things create that technical glitch. So I'm here now. Evil is playing a game with this. Satan is playing a game with this. And the deep state tried to post some things online. I don't know if I'm the only one that saw it or whether anyone else. I don't know if they're psychologically operating me alone or everybody to try to paint the former administration as deep state. Remember, you have obligations to everyone, including the former administration. And I'm not here because the presidency is changing hands necessarily. Again, I don't know the ins and outs of it, but you should realize that there's a lot of things that play in. Here's one example. I've told you for years, having money gives you more access. It'll also overcome the blocks, and that's a metaphysical because the planet worships money. So I just received an increase in income. I finally was able to obtain Persian Gulf War veteran disability benefits. It's been blocked since at least 2012. They disappeared the entire package, apparently. One of my lawyers found an open case from back then and said, this one's still open. I don't know what's happening. But again, my lawyers are actually having to fight direct deep state activity to access those benefits for me. And obviously it worked. Again, I'm sure even the Secretary of Veterans Affairs is aware of my particular case, because I brought the Persian Gulf War veteran issue up, that it the program wasn't being effectuated the way it was intended. The presumption wasn't being honored as we were told for decades it would be. Because, of course, the deep state was fighting it. So just me having that extra income could have allowed me to beat the blocks from communicating with the Navajo Nation. So I don't know the prior administration. From where I am right now, I would say the prior administration most likely has the majority of that contract money available. There may have been some costs involved with, canceling the contract. You don't always completely get out of canceling a contract. Sometimes through money for services already rendered. So again, this is not some idea where, oh, I back the new administration without backing the previous administration, because the reality is that's one of the problems with Native American world. I mean, it's not only politics. You have to understand it goes into every part of your lives where you're adversarial against one another. So when the election's over, there should be a communication to say, this is it. The election's over, and now we represent everybody equally. If you backed me, I might hire you, but I have an obligation to the people that we beat. In this election, we won, they didn't, but they have a right to representation. They have a right to good government, or actually great government. So you're not to get away from politics. That's the way we used to be. This is what's went wrong in the world. We stayed political. The Democratic Party is too far out to honor at this point. I mean, the stealing of the money. You have to understand something. There's IT people working in Albuquerque that took jobs from Navajo, and it goes all the way to the federal government as to who's approving funding and college money. Believe me, the Sharia law people infiltrated everything. And they're working in Albuquerque, they're working in Santa Fe, and your kids, they got nothing but a drug addiction as planned. So again, learn to drop politics. It's really not about Trump. There's a lot going on. Trump may not be your favorite person, but why should he give out money that's going to the things that I'm telling you it's going to? So we'll get that out of the way. Checks and balances are very important. It's not only to catch somebody in government. Actually, you don't want to catch people that are corrupt. You don't want them to be corrupt. You want them to feel they can't be corrupt. And again, the system is built by the deep state to cause people they want to be corrupt to be corrupt. So it has these open holes in the protection and in the checks and balances because they want to set people up. That may have happened to the previous administration. I mean, politics is politics when you're running for office. Once you get office, there's no politics. There shouldn't be. Because now you're in the government. You're not a political figure, you're a government official. So here's an example. And I'm gonna bring up this example, and you're gonna look at it like, well, what? You're gonna care about it, but you're gonna look like, okay, it's just another one of our issues. No, it's not. It's the issue of the age, of the current moment. Ella May was not secure in her home because somebody fell behind. And they fell behind because checks and balances did not exist. You can't beat it. You can't beat evil and what it does to people's minds. The only way you can beat it is by canceling it, getting rid of it, by ensuring it doesn't get a foothold. It'll always be there. But as long as you have checks and balances within all of your programs and systems, then you're fine. So here's an example with LMA. Somebody in your administration, at least one person, if not a team, is responsible for identifying people and issues that that your mind is blocked from seeing. So our biggest issue is that narcotics use. That's where it comes from. It came from narcotics use. That's why LMA is not here, because we could not sufficiently stop narcotics use by members of the community. It's the only reason. Had that not existed, LMA, I don't know if she'd still be here, but that wouldn't have happened. Although I think she's here. Because I couldn't remember her name, and now I remember her name. But I think she's here. So you have somebody in your community, in your government, that goes throughout the community, drives around, looks for the issues. Because it's not just when you run for office. When you're in office, people don't do it. They have pet peeves, and they go after their pet peeves instead of going after the unknown. The system exists within the Navajo Nation to handle all of the issues. But again, spiritual blindness, lack of intuition, the lack of vision. And in the scriptures, the Christian scriptures, it says that's what causes the people to perish. The pueblo to perish. You have to take a look at that guy, Victor the Good Boss. You need that. You need people to drive around your community and find your people and talk to them. You can't do it alone. You can't. You got a lot of work to do. You're going to miss things. You should have people that are not cops. Maybe they could be social workers, but they don't have to be. If the higher level social worker you are, the more likely you're not going to get out on the street. You're going to be in some sort of clinical setting. And you'll hear these. Well, he's always been a bad kid. We tried to help him. There are people that will try to help people, and if they don't like you, you don't get the help. But it looks like they're trying to help. Again, this is what evil does in the world around us. And just to let you know, I'm supposed to be cutting my grass. So I sacrificed in the marshal service. I sacrificed in the military. I take time out where there's going to be a detriment to my life to help people. And that's the kind of people you need. And they have to have understanding families. My wife didn't necessarily understand what I was doing when I was in the church. She wasn't that type of person. Again, we were unequally yoked, and we probably, yeah, I rescued her from a situation, but I probably should not have been married to her. But again, life is whatever. So if we identify people to be that check and balance, and again, that person has to be uh, well minded, fair, and respectful of what other people are doing in their life. A lot of people believe they're doing the right thing, and they might be doing the wrong thing. What I told people in New Mexico when I was there, because I believed it and it's still true, and it was true, and I knew it before I got there, it's not your fault. You're going to use narcotics. You're going to be out here on the street until you're not, because it's not you, it's metaphysics. Again, don't fall into the trap of blaming the white man or the Republican or the Trump. It's all the same nonsense. Evil can't get in unless you let it in. And again, there's many things that evil uses to get people to let it in. Was his name was Toth or something? He was left behind. Evil caused the community to leave him behind. Rehabilitation is a game for most people that serve it. It's just a number. Get our funding, put him through. He didn't pass. It's his fault. You didn't heal him. He can't. He or she cannot come off of narcotics until they're healed. That's a spiritual thing. So you have plenty of people that go to powwow. Hire a few of those people. Healers and dancers have power for wellness. But all the rich kids go to the show, and that's where they are, and that's where they dance. Meanwhile, somebody in the nominal nation is trying to figure out where to get the next drug pill, next fix, as they say. That's where they're supposed to be. Like I say, the Navajo Nation, above all other nations, has the tools to take care of the issues. So there's a lot of jobs that are needed, or not jobs. There's a lot of positions within government that are needed that are not there. So the word that I use, and I used before I knew Russell Means used it. But again, we have the same source, I'm sure. I do talk to God, no matter what I call him. And that's checks and balances. And it's not, again, the idea that, we're just going to find somebody that's corrupt. First off, you don't want to find somebody that's corrupt. You want to build a checks and balance system and a motivation for for corruption not to exist, and for checks and balances to exist. Each person, not to be an informant for the government all day, but fixing something before there needs to be something such as that. And again, I hate to speak about the addicted person but that is our issue. Well, because if you're looking for somebody in your government, where are they? They're on the street. They never got to the government position that you have for them. to fulfill what you need, because now you just have second fiddle, third fiddle, fourth fiddle. Nothing against them, but if they had their leader there instead of on the street drinking or using drugs, these are people that were put here on this planet to fulfill some need, and they're missing, MIA, KIA, in some cases when they overdose. There are other issues, but that's one of our biggest issues. You could send a bus to Albuquerque, collect up people, spend the weekend in Albuquerque, collect up your people. Say, we got a place for you to live. The mayor of, I was surprised he was a Republican. I try not to be political, but the guy in 2016 or something, he was mayor of Albuquerque, and he was collecting people up and having them live in bunkhouses. I think that's what it was. And he gave him a job cleaning up the city. Everybody can do something. It's that Sam Walton knew this. I think he was still alive when they started that. The greeter at Walmart was handicapped, disabled. And I guess the next, they say he's going to be the next president of the Navajo Nation. He was in the military. Everybody has a use. Keep them occupied. Give them a job. Give them something to do. Otherwise, they get in trouble. So that Victor, the good boss, he travels around and he finds people that need help. And he has a lot of people that are willing to give him money, crowdfunding, because he is real. He's just not looking, for statistics, a number. Some funding, although he is looking for funding. Once you start that, you need funding. But again, people need help, and you need to go find them. I was beginning it, but again, I would say 2012 was a little bit different than today. Much more difficult. So 2012 was when I probably started it, or 13. So I think it was 12. I had people. It was very simple. I would go to Lowe's and explain it, and he say, "Yeah, I'm a former addict. I'd like to help you." I said, "Well, I don't have anything going right now. Let me keep trying." And he's like, "I know where the homeless encampment is." I didn't even know there was a homeless encampment in Espanol. He goes, "It's off of the. I guess it was off of the Rio Grande somewhere." He said, "Well, I can take you there, and we could talk to those people." Don't always say, "Hey, you need to come off of drugs," like with the idea that it's not you. We're a community. As far as it takes a village, again, they politicized it, so nobody wants to talk about that. Or some people want to overly talk about it in the sense that we know it takes a village. They say it doesn't. Well, we're all a community-based culture. What happens is we develop the haves and have-nots out of some sort of selfish or sometimes ignorant viewpoint. It's not communism and socialism. That doesn't work. It's corruption is rampant in socialism and communism. Our nation had a perfect system. Somebody destroyed it on purpose, and they're still doing it. The combination of capitalism and social programs. But when you have a social program, the focus is that they can always do something. This idea that somebody's on drugs, well, they're on drugs, they can do something. Again, we need to get them well. And those three terms that are inseparable are detox, rehab, and aftercare. If you don't do the right aftercare, then it's over because they're going to revert back to the other mind. They have to be somewhere doing something all day, or they're going to end because the one guy is a video I have. It's I think they were a Christian couple that would I don't know if they ran I think they ran a restaurant, but they would take food, or maybe they just ran a kitchen, a charity kitchen. I can't remember on Pine Ridge, but they would take food. White clay was the big thing back then because they were going to a neighboring community because Pine Ridge, it was a dry location, no alcohol. They would go there and they would buy alcohol. So the husband, the wife would cook, I think it was, and husband would travel there and give them food. And when you listen to the guy that's been an alcoholic, for a good portion of his life and how his life was ruined, his big thing is those people care about me. We care about one another. Those people over there on Pine Ridge, they don't care about us. I knew this before I watched that video because I've seen it in all cultures. So if you really don't care, they're going to end up back on narcotics. If you're just looking for numbers or for, brownie points or aren't I special because I'm saving people that are on drugs, you're not going to get anywhere. It's not easy. Even this guy, Vic, the good boss, with all he has, they diss him pretty bad sometimes. I've been there. But if you're honest, evil is going to attack you, may even take your life. I've done more inside with the spirit in my lifetime than 10 people with multi-million dollar charity organizations have done with all their money. In fact, a lot of those organizations, I am their successes inside. They have nothing else. But if I was selfish, we'd lose additional people. If I didn't extend my spirit to the world, we'd lose additional people. And that's why they're not successful. They're the what have you done for me lately crowd. And you don't want to be that. So again, I've met a lot of Native Americans and I've spoken to Native Americans very briefly in my life. But when I speak to them, God has them say what is pertinent. It's saying like when you do an operation order in the military, it's a concise format, the facts, just the facts. And I don't ask them. They walk up and they start. Sometimes I have conversation and it brings something out of them. However, a lot of times they just walk up and start talking to me. Maybe an acquaintance or something at a gym or something. Well, this guy said is my mother. My mother told me never to, and should make you sad. My mother told me don't depend on the tribal government. He's from Canada, Cree or something like. So my mother told me don't depend on the tribal government. Make a way for yourself off the reservation. And for whatever it was, he was in Santa Fe at the time. I mean, I'll tell you, as far as Native Americans go, he could be. He was, maybe 6 foot, very handsome guy. Could have been a model. At probably 35 at that point, maybe on his way to 40. I don't. So said he saw the chief one day. He wanted to go to college. He was just 18. And he said, I need money for college, chief. Want to make his way off reservation, you know. The chief said, we don't have any money. And this is a time period that Russell Means was speaking about. And again, I'm sure it's still there. He said, within a relative short period of time, the chief and his girlfriend showed up with a brand new convertible, and he knew where the money came from. And sometimes it's not that bad. So you have to identify even the little things that can make a difference. So again, your goal should be that the Navajo Nation children hear from their parents, you can rely on the tribal government. They will do everything to make sure you succeed. And that's everybody. What we like to do, and again, evil does it to our mind. We have a group of people we think are the ones that really matter, or that this is really whether one individual applies themselves or not. What causes, again, it's funny because Native Americans don't even think spiritually, but yet speak about it quite often. What causes a person not to apply themselves equally to their neighbor? Evil spirits. That's it. There's nothing else. Could you heal somebody honestly their whole life and the evil spirit still takes them down? Yes. What would that tell me? That I need to know who that is. Because that may be the person that runs our supermarket inside. The spirit of this person runs our supermarkets. The rest are just employees. Even the CEO or the president or the manager. The world is an illusion until it's not, because it could be real. So don't always say it's the white person. Plenty of white people, plenty of Jewish people have helped the Native American. I like to say, you stole my land. I didn't steal your land. I rent. Talk to my landlord. I'm sure Mr. Jones lives a better life than I do. Okay, he's Native American. I'm white, and I'm Jewish. Or actually, I'm with God. I'm not really any religion. I could move in a fraction of a second to another religion, as God needs. No, I tell people I'm with God. They say, you Jewish, you Christian, you shaman. All the above, I'm with God. All the above and none of the above. That's what I tell people. I'm from God. I'm here to help. So remember, if we want LMA safe, whoever LMA is today, we need to make sure everybody else is safe and has a well life. It's the only way it works. So, you maybe get a small bus or a van. Maybe a van's easier. And have it drive around to all the communities. You're driving around all the communities now, running for office. You should have people in a van and they drive around and they look in the communities and they focus them. Okay, is anybody homeless? Is anybody using narcotics that we can talk to? A social worker is a name of a position, but it doesn't mean that they're a social worker. In fact, your best social worker is far as Victor Goodboss is finding out, is the addicted person, and that could be why they're there, because their drive to help others. You may have had a life. Well, if I apply myself, I get somewhere. If I don't apply myself, I don't get somewhere. You know who did that to you? Evil. Some people call it Satan. To create the illusion in your mind. So in Native American culture, if it doesn't make sense, then you say it's the white person or the Republican. It's nonsense. Now they want to say it's the Jew. I don't own a casino. I don't get money from a casino. I had to fight for my disability benefits because the deep state ruined my life because I wouldn't be corrupt. But yet, if you talk to them today, they'll tell you I was the corrupt one. Evil is always the same. As far as a spiritual investigator, I know that if I'm speaking to the deep state and they tell me something, it's most likely the complete opposite of what they tell me. But it doesn't mean the former Navajo government was deep state. They want to create a rift between myself and some of the Navajo. Now, I don't know if you saw it or it was just put out there to try to put it in my mind to plant the seed. We're being inundated all day by psychological manipulation. Used to be just spiritual psychological manipulation. Titles of your emails, your news feeds. If somebody wants to shift your opinion, you may end up hating people named Larry, just so maybe you'll hate me. That's how bad they are. But again, I think you're more intelligent. But be careful of it. They've already chosen people in your community to fail because psychologically, the deep state can't beat that person unless you leave that person behind. So again, deep state is not a political organization, but it is in every political organization. And if they're not there, they'll be there if they have a need to be there. Again, gold bars, untraceable cash. So remember, your most important checks and balance team works out of a van that travels to all the Navajo communities on a regular basis. And if you need to bring them back from Gallup, from Albuquerque, from Phoenix, have a place and a program for them. And the biggest part of that program, because if you do it right, you'll get them through detox, you'll get them through rehab, is that after scenario. The biggest successes that Vic the Good Boss experiences, from what I can see, are people that become social work type people. And they go out and they rescue the person they were. Saying, if I had myself, I wouldn't have been stuck there or even get there. That's the key. Again, I hate to be speaking about narcotics addiction, but that's our biggest problem, alcohol and narcotics addiction. Because these are MIAs, these are KIAs that were supposed to be somewhere. They were sent to the planet with a purpose. And that purpose was destroyed by evil. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.